What's up everybody, this is Master Ian Gamer. Mischief and Magic is easily one of the best event game modes we've seen added since the launch of Overwatch 2, and it's got me thinking about events in general and how they really compare in Overwatch 2 versus what we had way back in the good old days of Overwatch 1. Overwatch events in general have actually changed quite a bit with the release of the sequel, so in today's video I wanted to compare the new from the old to see which was better. Were events superior back in the golden age of Overwatch 1, or has Blizzard actually managed to step things up in this regard with Overwatch 2? In order to evaluate them, I'll be breaking down events in three main categories, being event limited time game modes, event cosmetic items, and event theming. So first off, let's go ahead and jump right on in talking about limited time game modes. Now, before I really delve into this section, I would like to preface that I will be excluding PvE game modes in this discussion, such as Junkenstein's Revenge and the Archive missions. In all honesty, I really don't think it's fair to compare these sorts of game modes to PvP modes like Lucio Ball, Yeti Hunt, or Star Watch, as they much more closely correspond to the upcoming PvE story missions that'll be launching in Season 6. So no, I'm not going to be talking about Retribution and how it's unequivocally the best event game mode. But when it came to Overwatch 1, there were a number of renowned PvP event game modes, notably modes like Lucio Ball, the various Winter Wonderland modes like May's Snowball Offensive and Yeti Hunt, as well as the occasional Capture the Flag variant type thing for Lunar New Year, which honestly I think most people kind of forget about since Capture the Flag kind of got wrapped into the standard arcade modes. But anyways, that's beside the point. For the first couple years of Overwatch 1, I think it really shined with the new game modes it was adding to its limited time events. However, after those initial couple years, Overwatch 1 event game modes really started to stagnate. Lucio Ball was perhaps the best example of this, where Blizzard eventually went on to add Copa Lucio Ball, the competitive variant, as well as Lucio Ball Remix, which basically was a more chaotic, hectic, and, in my opinion, more fun version of the mode. But beyond this, we never really saw Lucio Ball change that much, or even really get any sort of companion game modes during the Summer Games event. It was always just Lucio Ball back again and again and again, and while I for one thought Lucio Ball was a decent enough mode to be enjoyable to play a few times a year, it did really start to get stale as time went on. And I think the same sort of thing applies to the Winter Wonderland event game modes as well, like Yeti Hunt and of course Lunar New Year. So while these modes were pretty decent for the most part, they honestly weren't anything really to write home about in the long run. That then, though, takes us on to Overwatch 2, where within the first year of this game's release, we've already seen quite a few new event game modes, some of which have been rather outstanding. For me personally, I think the top tier event modes we've seen since the launch of Overwatch 2 have included Battle for Olympus, Ketchamari, and of course, the most recent, Mischief and Magic. These modes, while obviously not comparable to permanent PvP modes that we see in quick play and competitive, added really refreshing, really unique, and really enjoyable new modes to play that just help change up the pace of things. I wouldn't expect myself to play Battle for Olympus or even Mischief and Magic constantly all throughout the year, but in terms of being limited time modes, which we can likely expect to periodically return at least once or twice a year, if not every few months, I think these are going to be great modes that people are enjoying for years down the line. In the case of Mischief and Magic, Blizzard takes an already existing game mode concept, being Prop Hunt, and gives it its own unique sort of twist and variant within Overwatch. They do a good job of making it feel distinct from other versions of Prop Hunt in games like Call of Duty or Garry's Mod, and while ultimately it'll probably come down to the individual player in terms of whether they prefer Mischief and Magic over other versions of Prop Hunt, at the very least you have to give Blizzard credit for tweaking the game mode in a unique way to give it its own flair, which personally I think actually works really well for it and makes for a really fun mode. So overall, focusing strictly on the PvP event game modes we've gotten since the launch of Overwatch 2, I think the best of Overwatch 2 event game modes have thus far been better than the best of Overwatch 1 event game modes. That doesn't mean that every Overwatch 2 game mode that's come out has been a banger. Star Watch was perhaps the most notable letdown in this regard, with how poor poorly designed and balanced it all ended up feeling. And other modes like Defeat the Demon Lord and the Hanzo Valentine's Day game mode ultimately ended up feeling rather forgettable. I do appreciate that we see a bit of a variety in terms of the modes we end up getting. Some are variants of Deathmatch, others are these more asymmetrical modes similar to the old Yeti Hunt, and other modes like Winston's Beach Volleyball takes an already existing event mode, being Lucio Ball, and adds a really refreshing, unique twist on it, which rebuilds it into a completely different sport that I thought was really well done. Now, it is worth mentioning that we are still within the first year of Overwatch 2, so it's yet to be seen how long Blizzard ends up perpetuating the addition of new event game modes. I could very easily see it end up being a repeat of what happened in Overwatch 1, where come year 3, we're basically only seeing retreads of older game modes coming with each seasonal event. But for the time being, I think Blizzard is on a good track when it comes to limited time event game modes, and have certainly added some fantastic new additions that really satisfy that desire to have a slight change of pace every now and again when you get just a little too tired of the standard quick player competitive. Now, moving on from limited time game modes, next up let's talk about cosmetics. Again, jumping back to Overwatch 1, seasonal cosmetics were the cream of the crop. Everyone always got excited to see the host of new skins added with each new seasonal event, and perhaps best of all was the fact that all new skins could be unlocked strictly through playing the game and earning loot boxes. As long as you played the game enough, you were inevitably going to either get the skin you wanted from one of the seasonal loot boxes, or at least grind up enough credits to buy it through the hero gallery. And this made playing Overwatch itself not only incredibly rewarding because you knew that eventually you'd be able to get that awesome new skin that just released, but also it had that exciting RNG element of hoping you get the skin you're wanting out of that next loot box. Yeah, gambling and whatnot, okay, let's not focus too much on that specific aspect, but still, I think the process of earning cosmetics via events in Overwatch 1 was a really exciting and really fun and satisfying way for Blizzard to handle skins and other cosmetic items in the game. Even focusing on the periodic mini events which would occasionally pop up, like the Bastion's Brick Challenge or the Sigma Maestro Challenge, these always boiled down to ultimately just playing the game enough within a fixed window of time in order to get a cool new skin. But come Overwatch 2, this is where I think we've undeniably seen events sort of take a nosedive. Yes, gone are the loot boxes, which allowed any player to unlock any skin they wanted for free through enough grinding, and now we have the Overwatch 2 shop, where players can purchase that new shiny skin they so desperately want for real world money. Yes, now technically you can earn the Overwatch coins used to purchase these new items through just grinding the weekly challenges, but considering the rate at which you actually earn coins through doing this, let's be honest, it's outright infeasible to earn anything through this method. It would take you months upon months, if not years, to finally be able to get a handful of cool skins. So in that regard, the method of earning coins for free might as well not even exist, which means if you want to get those cool new event cosmetic skins, yeah, you're gonna have to pay for them. Now, admittedly, a lot of the new event skins we've been getting in Overwatch 2, I think, are a step up from the skins back in Overwatch 1. Not only are they far better detailed and shaded, but a lot of them are just really cool ideas which we never really saw come about back in the original Overwatch. So while the quality of any given cosmetic I think has certainly gone up with the release of Overwatch 2, there's still that factor where you have to pay real money in order to actually get them, which ultimately undermines a lot of the benefits we see with cosmetic changes in Overwatch 2. And this is something which broadly extends even just beyond seasonal events themselves, as basically all skins in the game now work this way. Now, I will admit there are a couple exceptions to it. With each new event that comes around, there's typically a handful of challenges which let you unlock various emotes, sprays, voice lines, and oftentimes even skins, but these are basically just revised versions of the mini events I mentioned earlier from back in Overwatch 1. They require you to just play the game to unlock a single given skin, and oftentimes the skin itself is decent, but is nothing compared to what you used to be able to do through grinding loot boxes in Overwatch 1 in order to get any or all of the new skins that were added with each of those seasonal events. So in terms of cosmetics, when it comes to Overwatch 2 versus Overwatch 1, I think I have to say that things have been a bit of a step down simply because of how much harder and how much more expensive it is to actually get the new event cosmetics in Overwatch 2. That then takes us though onto the final category for evaluating events in Overwatch 1 versus 2, which is event themes. Now this is a bit of an interesting one, and let me explain what I'm talking about. An event theme is, well, the theme of the event. Summer Games is obviously summer beach and sports themed, and Halloween Terror is spooky Halloween themed. It's a fairly simple premise, I think, to understand, and looking back at Overwatch 1, themes were actually rather restricted in the original Overwatch. You had these 6 repeating seasonal events being Summer Games, Halloween Terror, Winter Wonderland, Lunar New Year, Archives, and Anniversary, and with the exception of Anniversary and kind of Archives, the fixed theming of each of these events really sort of restricted the amount of creative freedom Blizzard had to make unique and interesting skins that fit into various different themes. For example, let's say back in Overwatch 1, Blizzard wanted to make a space-themed skin. Where would be the best place to fit in that skin? Well, probably Anniversary, given that we did see some space-themed skins during that event, but overall, the fact that the seasonal events were so fixed in their theming and when they happened each given year really limited the kinds of skins we could reasonably see outside of basically just Anniversary. There really wasn't room for Blizzard to have an event with a theme such as outer space that could fit anywhere outside of these 6 established initial events. However, come Overwatch 2, we've seen the seasonal events completely get booted out the door in favor of the seasonal battle pass model, which, let's be honest, has its own issues, but at the very least does allow Blizzard to get a bit more varied and creative with the actual event and cosmetic themes we see them implement. Thus far, the battle pass themes have been cyberpunk, Greek mythology, East Asian mythology, space opera, and fantasy adventure. These are really cool, really fun themes that break away from those standard 6 seasonal event rotations we saw back in Overwatch 1, which have allowed for some really cool and really original skins and other cosmetics to be added to the game, as well as unique and interesting event game modes. It's not that we couldn't have seen a mode like Mischief and Magic be worked into the Anniversary or Halloween Terror event in some way or another, but the fact that Blizzard isn't strictly confined to those original 6 events as they were back in Overwatch 1 means they have more room to do fun modes like this. Plus, even within the seasonal battle pass model we've seen them implement in Overwatch 2, Blizzard has managed to work in various other mini-seasonal sort of events of sorts that can just range from being a single week-long mini event that has no corresponding game mode but includes a cool new skin, to a grand multi-week long ordeal like Star Watch, which has a ton of skins corresponding to it along with a cool game mode, which unfortunately didn't really stick the landing, but nonetheless the theming of it was really cool, especially when you consider the whole Star Wars inspired story and comic series they had going alongside it. And thus overall, when it comes to the actual theming of events in Overwatch 1 versus 2, I do think they've gotten better with Overwatch 2, simply because there's more opportunities for Blizzard to do new and creative ideas without being restricted to that original 6 seasonal event model. Now each new Battle Pass season can be whatever theme they want it to be, with smaller scale mini events worked into those given seasons. So in conclusion, which is better, Overwatch 1 or Overwatch 2? Well, overall, I kind of think Overwatch 2 is actually better when it comes to in-game events. Admittedly, the cosmetics aspect is still a big downgrade in Overwatch 2. I would love if Blizzard added more opportunities to get Overwatch coins for free, or at the very least allowed us to unlock more skins through non-payment methods, but I suppose that's just the reality we live in. At the very least, pace that seems to allow them to make some really exciting and interesting and fun event game modes, while at the same time having a wider range in the theming of the skins and other cosmetics. So admittedly, Overwatch 2 is far from being a straight up upgrade in the event category, but overall I do like a lot of the things Blizzard has managed to do with events with Overwatch 2. Now again, this is all excluding the PvE modes we saw back in Overwatch 1, like the Archives missions and Junkenstein's Revenge. Those are much more closely tied to the upcoming PvE story missions we'll be seeing in Overwatch 2 Season 6, so I am kind of curious to see how those end up comparing to each other. Early impressions of Overwatch 2 PvE has already sort of given the impression that it's a supercharged version of the old Archives missions like Retribution, but will that alone really end up being enough? I suppose we'll just have to wait and see, and I'll certainly be evaluating the new PvE missions once the time comes. But on that note, thank you all so much for watching this video. Definitely let me know your thoughts on Overwatch events in Overwatch 1 compared to Overwatch 2 by dropping a comment down below. Do you think events have gotten better with the more varied themes and new game modes in Overwatch 2? Or do you miss the ability to unlock all new skins for free that we had with loot boxes back in Overwatch 1? Either way, be sure to subscribe, follow me on Twitter, hit up that bell icon, and come join my Discord server to hang out and never miss any of my future Overwatch content. Special thanks to my YouTube channel members who help make these videos possible, and if you'd like to join them to earn some cool rewards, then just hit that join button down below. Otherwise, this is Master Ian Gamer signing off, and until next time, have a great day.